Hello, everybody. Kyle Davis here. Hope you're doing well. I think this is day 912 of quarantine. I don't know what day of the week it is or where I am, but we're here. Okay, not really, but it feels that way sometimes. I was driving into the office this morning, still coming in just the one day a week, but fortunately, if nothing changes, the shelter, stay at home, etc. orders for the state of Florida are going to be lifted on the 30th, which I believe is Thursday. And that's as of this morning, April 27th. So, crossing my fingers, hopefully be back to normal soon. But I am tired of talking about this virus stuff. I'm tired of hearing about it. I know a lot of people have had a hard time. It is real, and it did affect a lot of folks and still is. But I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to get back to normal and move to some positive talk as the primary stay of our attention instead of all this negativity. I talked about all the negativity last week. Try your best to not let it get to you. It's so easy to just get wrapped up in all the bad that's going on and lose track of the good. But I want to take a few minutes this morning, I don't even know if it's morning anymore, and talk about you and talk about where you came from and your origin story. Every superhero has an origin story, right? And I am by no means the comic book guy or the superhero guy. I wanted to be back in elementary and middle school. I was hopelessly hooked on X-Men when I was in elementary school, and I started buying asking for the comic books for like birthdays and Christmas. But it was a lot. It was a lot, and comics can be very intimidating, especially with series that run for decades and decades and decades, like a couple of the ones I'm going to bring up. Because, like I said, every superhero has a cool origin story, and I think a lot of us do as well, professionally. I mean, how did you get to where you are today? I didn't get here doing this by chance. There was a reason. There was something that kind of came along in life that set this whole series of events into motion that eventually got me into this chair with these degrees hanging on the wall and helping people with retirement, etc., etc. If you had told me 15 years ago, hey, you're going to be a self-employed small business entrepreneur and helping other self-employed small business entrepreneurs with retirement planning, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. But here we are. And I think a lot of us have a similar story to share. And I'm gonna highlight three of my favorite anyway superheroes, some really cool characters about their origin stories, and I think we can relate to that. I want to know which one you are and which one you are the closest to of the three I'm going to talk about. So leave me a comment, let me know if you are one of these three, or if not, tell me what you are. So let's start with one of the most well-known superheroes in the entire universe. And I'm gonna stick to Marvel because Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that, I think a lot of people are more familiar. So let's start with Spider-Man. I'm sure a lot of us know the story of Spider-Man. Spider-Man has been around for decades and decades. Peter Parker was bitten by the radioactive spider, and it gave him, amazing powers that he uses to help others. And Peter Parker was a journalist. He was this young guy, and he was going about his career, and all of a sudden there's this big external force that was foisted onto him in his life, the radioactive spider bite. And now all of a sudden he realizes, wow, I've got all these amazing powers. Shooting webs, being able to crawl and walk on walls, the hyper senses, the spider senses. But Peter Parker was just this young guy trying to make his way in New York City. And all of a sudden there's this new guy on the scene, Spider-Man, and Peter, spoiler alert, Peter Parker gets these amazing photos of Spider-Man, and the publishers of newspapers say, how are you getting these amazing photos? Well, I think the statute of limitations is over on Spider-Man, at least in this respect, but Peter Parker was taking pictures of himself. So Spider-Man has this paradigm of reconciling his superhero life and his regular life as Peter Parker. And his identity for a lot of people for a very long time is very much a secret. It's not a public thing. So Spider-Man was on this path, right? Peter Parker was on this path, and this external force comes in It kind of changes his entire worldview. Now he's able to help people in ways that he couldn't before. So that's Spider-Man. Are you like a Spider-Man? Were you on one path and then all of a sudden, wow, something happened and you just see this whole nother range of possibilities, but you're still having to reconcile your previous life with your new life? I think a lot of us can relate to that. I think a lot of us are in that boat sometimes. So maybe Spider-Man. The second one I'm going to talk about, and she's not as well known, but I love her, and that is the She-Hulk. That's Jennifer Walters. If you don't know anything about Jennifer Walters, she's this high-powered attorney. Like she's an established professional, and she's top tier. She's very, very good at what she does as a defense attorney, and she has this really ingrained sense of justice, and she just always had that. And then a personal crisis. I mean, you know, her father was a sheriff. You know, she's in it. So established professional, and this personal crisis comes along, and she has to get a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce Banner, who is the Hulk. And as a side effect, she becomes this amazing super being. And after a while, she's able to reconcile her powers and actually further her mission of justice, both as an attorney and the She-Hulk. And her identity isn't as secret. She actually appears in court at times as the Green She-Hulk. So are you like a Jennifer Walters? Are you like a Jennifer Walters? Did you have a path that you were on, and that path was further enhanced, brought about, heightened by something that happened? You know, it's amazing to be able to be in one field and have one path from the get-go and just keep on building upon that. And that's what the She-Hulk did. So I think that's a great origin story. Jennifer Walters is an amazing character. And funny enough, I know a Jennifer who, if anyone turned into a superhero and kept going to court, it would be her. So hats off. And the third one I'm going to talk about after She-Hulk, you know, on her professional path, and just keeps on building upon what she had started. So Peter Parker, kind of a double life. She-Hulk, already this high-powered, amazing attorney, and now there's even more to further her sense of justice. And the third one I'm going to go with today is never really knew much about him until I saw the movie with a friend of mine, and that is Doctor Strange. That is Doctor Strange. Stephen Strange was a surgeon. He was a world-renowned surgeon. He was very, very good at what he did. If you've seen the movie, the origin story of Doctor Strange is a really, really cool one, and it's the focus of half of the movie. But he was this amazing surgeon, and after getting into a car wreck and severely damaging his hands, well, science, surgery, everything he had known that kind of brought him through life to where he was right now, none of it was working. None of it restored his hands and his ability to practice medicine. So he had to start from scratch. He had to look elsewhere, and he eventually found his way to an expert. Oh gosh, what was her name? I believe it was was it the Enlightened one? The Ancient One. There it was. He sought out the Ancient One to find out, you know, is there any way for me to recover? Is there any way for me to get back to where I was? You have to heal me. You have to get my hands working again. And his eyes were opened to this entire mystical universe that he was not aware of. So all of a sudden, his past did not matter to him anymore. It was all forward, man. It was all forward. You have to teach me. You have to show me the way. And he ended up becoming what's called the Sorcerer Supreme, protector against mystical and magical forces, and one of Earth's greatest protectors. So Stephen Strange was on a path, and that path was taken away from him by life. And he found a new path, and he dove in and went all in. So that's him. Are you like a Stephen Strange? Which one most closely applies to you? Oops. Wrong screen. Which most closely applies to you? Are you more of a Stephen Strange? Did you have your career ripped away from you, only having to start over? I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. Are you like a She-Hulk? Were you walking your path and got even stronger and was able to take that to the next level in your life path? Or are you like a Peter Parker? Were you going completely one direction and you're still trying to reconcile one direction with maybe something new? Maybe something new. So every superhero has an origin story, right? And I think it's a great paradigm for entrepreneurship and work. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your origin story is. Which superhero are you most like? And if I didn't nail it in the three that I chose, please let me know. Please let me know what superhero most closely identifies with you and your path. So that's it. Superhero origin stories. I think it applies very well to entrepreneurship. I really do. I really do. I think sometimes the story that we tell and where we come from really shapes who we are in our career, and that can change over time. That can change over time. For those of you who have known me a while, I mean, there have been things happen that have really kind of reshaped the way I go about this and influenced my why and why I do what I do. So I want to hear from you too. And as always, if we're putting out a lot of information right now with exceptions and what's happening with tax law and investment law and such like that. We've been writing a lot. Well, I say we. I've been writing a lot lately. And if you want to check out the blog, I talk a lot about some exceptions to early withdrawals, managing investing, entrepreneurship, and various other things related to what's happening right now. Hopefully we'll be back to business as usual, but I would encourage you to visit the blog if you haven't before. We put a lot of great information out that specifically is more tailored toward entrepreneurs, self-employed individuals, micro business owners, etc., because that is our niche. Hope you have a great rest of your day. As always, if you need any one-on-one attention, be sure to reach out. You can visit our compliant website at financialservicesamerica.com. You can leave me a question or contact me to schedule a consultation right there. As always, we offer no obligation, no risk, free consultations. Right now, we're doing most of it over virtual or over Zoom or the phone or screen share or something like that. But hopefully we'll be back to business as usual. Again, this is Kyle Davis signing off. Hopefully you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.